Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special NFL mock draft edition of Final Take. I'm Curtis Rauen, and joining me on this crazy desk tonight is Bryce Pomplun, Nathan Hansen, Ben Zitouni, and Jostun Pomplun. Bryce, we'll start with you. How you doing? Are you ready for the draft?
Just living life, yeah. I'm getting ready. I don't know who I want my team to pick yet, but we'll see what happens Thursday night.
Yeah, it's been long enough. Just get it off here over here. He's sick of hearing all these mock drafts that they've had over the past week, whatever. Just get it over with. Let's go.
Of course I'm ready. I've been waiting since Alabama won the championship and Broncos won the Super Bowl over your Panthers. I'm ready to see.
Why when Alabama won the championship, the playoffs were still going on? Hadn't even started yet.
Well, the college football season was done at that point, Jostun.
Nate?
Of course I'm ready. I feel like this year's there's been not a lot of talk, just a little. The trades have happened, and those even haven't been the biggest headlines of the nights. So I'm just ready for the draft. It'll be a nice break to the end of the week.
Well, for those who haven't seen the one last year we go around, Jostun randomized the picks. So each of us, I think, has like 5 or 6 picks in this first round of the draft. And I guess let's start it off. It's NFL Christmas. I'm wearing Christmas colors. I'm ready to go here. We'll start with Jostun, and you're up with the Los Angeles Rams. Who are they taking?
Well, this one could go either way on draft night. I've seen so many, 90% of the mock drafts I looked at had Jared Goff, but it could also be Carson Wentz, and I feel like it's going to be Carson Wentz going there because I feel like he fits the Rams system more. They have a reliable running back. Goff played more in the shotgun at Cal, and I think obviously Philadelphia moved on from Chip Kelly, but they still got some of his personnel there. So I think Goff will be better with those players and Wentz will do better with the St. Louis system. Under center, giving it to Gurley and all that.
Interesting. I was listening on the radio a few weeks ago, driving home from Madison, and I heard both sides of the story from Casarelli, I think is the GM, former GM, and he was talking that Goff's more pro-ready and Carson Wentz is more kind of put him into the system later on, move him in, and he's going to be a work in progress, but he has more potential than Goff. I don't know, how do you guys think about it?
I don't think either of these guys is really a system person. I think either one of them would do a great job. I think it's pretty much a flip of the coin, and whoever you get, whether it's Wentz or Goff, you're going to be happy whether you're the Rams.
It's not always the same. It's not always that case, though.
I was watching ESPN last week, and I guess Jostun doesn't watch ESPN as much as me, but ESPN one of the Rams inside personnel leaked that they're 99.9% sure going with Goff. So I don't know why you would say they're going with Wentz.
I said this one could go either way, and I said 90% of the mock drafts I saw had Goff.
You gotta love them. Both brothers are sitting by each other.
Like, for me personally, I think Wentz would be the better fit, even though Cal guy going down to LA can be compared to a North Dakota guy going to the big city of Los Angeles.
No, Goff would be the better fit for the Rams.
I agree. I think Goff's going to be the fit.
This is a lot different from last year when you had Winston and Mariota, though. Those were two different guys, and this year I feel like Goff and Wentz are more similar than what Mariota and Winston were last year, which is kind of interesting.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on Thursday, and I think you're going to be wrong. Well, let's move this along, and we'll go over to Bryce with the Philadelphia Eagles. So you got them taking at 2.
Let's see. I was talking before the show that the Eagles might go Jalen Ramsey here. They need that need at cornerback, but I mean the obvious pick now, since Wentz is off the board, is going to be Jared Goff. Eagles need the quarterback. They're going to trade Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford's not happy there. So with the second pick, the Eagles take Jared Goff.
And I think all of us here all agree it's going to be quarterbacks 1 and 2. I mean, I think everyone would be stunned if they went with corner after trading all those picks. And I wanted to mention this. We'll just talk about this here real quick since we're going to move along. But what do you guys think of the trades? I mean, Tennessee moving back, and then also the Cleveland Browns moving as well. What do you guys think of all that? And all the Dolphins too earlier in the offseason.
It was interesting. Tennessee moved down, but then there's been talk recently that they could move up to the 15th pick. So maybe there'll be another draft day trade for them, and I think that honestly, I think there's going to be a couple of trades in the first round that are going to surprise people.
Well, I think Tennessee's genius for this. Do you really want to take an offensive tackle number 1 overall, but when you can trade that and stockpile about 5 or 6 picks, which is exactly what they did. They did the right thing. They already have their franchise quarterback, so no need to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I think it was a good move by them and the Browns. Browns got 12 picks now in this draft. They can kind of move around the draft. if you're a Browns fan, I don't know if you're really going to know what pick they have because they're going to keep moving.
And Tennessee, they didn't have the need for a quarterback. They didn't feel like anyone was worthy that high. They have 11 picks in the first 3 rounds, I think, the next 2 years. So to get these bounties for these picks, I think it's over. These high picks are a little overrated. I don't think they need that many picks for them. So, but it's smart to trade back if you can get that many.
Well, you got to look at the Rams too. I mean, they did the route of getting all these picks, and look what it did for them. They were still that quarterback away, so they're trying to move up. I don't know if this is a draft year to do it to go after a quarterback because both of them are not very high caliber.
Trading down for 5 or 6 picks is smart, but giving up 5 or 6 picks to move up, I just don't.
If you're the Rams, I'm all right with it though because they're pretty close. Their defense is pretty good. They have Todd Gurley. They probably need a few receivers, and they need that quarterback. So I feel like they're closer to winning a championship rather than the Eagles are trading up to the second.
The question I have is I don't know if this was the year to do it. Well, let's move on to the number 3 pick, the San Diego Chargers, and Nate, you're up.
Well, I think right now the Chargers are going to get the best overall player in the draft in Jalen Ramsey.
All right. Wow. No reason.
And that is exactly why I wanted the Eagles to take Jalen Ramsey number 2. He's the best overall player in this draft. If you want to build a team around someone, build it around the best player available.
You don't build the team around a defensive back though. That's why you don't. That's why you don't trade away 3 rounds of picks to move.
You definitely could. It'd be a new turning point in the NFL. Build around the cornerback position because it's a pass-heavy league now.
Wow. Well, I mean, you guys aren't messing around. I think you could either go Ramsey here or Tunzel. I personally think they should go with Tunzel. They need to protect Phillip Rivers. That guy gets banged up left and right every single year, and they need a guy to hold up those trenches for him. I think he's a guy, but Jalen Ramsey, like you said, he's probably the best player in the draft. Why pass up on him? I mean, any other thoughts, Ben, Jostun?
I had Tunzel as well. Rivers needs all the protection you can get. You said passing league. Well, to be able to pass the ball, you got to stay protected. So Tunzel's there.
Yeah, if the Chargers are one of those hit or miss teams, they always do well in the beginning of the season. They fade off towards the end, and it's usually because Phillip Rivers starts to get banged up due to the fact he has a poor offensive line. So that's a good reasoning you have for having them take Tunzel.
Alrighty, everyone's slamming Nate, but hey, it's the best player, and I've seen it all over. And I think the state picks Tunzel, but they also need secondary. They lost Weddle as well back there, so you might as well take them. Well, let's move on to pick number 4. You got the Dallas Cowboys. I'm up on that one. I got 2 guys here. I'm just gonna flip a coin, but I'm gonna go with Ezekiel Elliott. I think they need a power guy on offense, and that guy is elite. He can catch the ball. He can run. He's probably one of the best offensive guys in the draft this year. Dallas needs a spark. They need that old Emmitt Smith kind of guy, and I think this is it for them. They could go Joey Bosa. I know that's been lurking as well, but I think Zeke's going to be it.
And speaking of Ezekiel Elliott, I kind of question his maturity. I don't believe he has the maturity level to be a top 5 pick because there's the whole incident at Ohio State where he only had, I believe, like 7 carries in that game they lost to, was it Michigan? Yeah, Michigan State. In a huge press conference, and he was calling out Coach Meyer. I mean, you're looking at a top 5 pick. You don't see that happening very often.
Okay, but let's be honest. Do you really think the Cowboys would have a problem with character issues? Looking at the people they've signed.
It took Greg Hardy. It took
you can't. That argument
Shane Ray, not Shane Ray. Gregory.
Gregory.
Yeah, it took Gregory. I mean, they got 4 guys in the defensive end position that are suspended, or 3, something like that already. So, but that's why I think Bosa would make sense because they have, I think, 2 or 3 of their starters are going to be suspended for 4 games starting the year. So Bosa could be the pick here. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I enjoy Bosa. I don't even have Ezekiel Elliott going in the first round of my mock drafts, to be honest. You guys talk, it's a pass-happy league. I don't think Elliott's that great of a running back. I think if you're looking for a running back, you wait till next year to draft Fournette. He's going to be a much better NFL talent than Ezekiel Elliott will be.
It's definitely bold. I don't know if he'll ever make. I think for sure he'd be picked in the top 15 at least.
I have Elliott. I had Elliott in the first round, but not that high. I had Joey
You
Bosa.
had Elliott going to the Dolphins. I've seen that as well. There's been rumors the Dolphins trying to move up to San Diego to surpass the Cowboys and take Elliott at 3, and that might still happen. Who knows? Well, let's move on, and we got back-to-back picks. We'll start with you. We'll go with the Jaguars first at 5. Who do you got them taking, Bryce?
Let's see. I'm debating between 3 guys for the Jaguars. I got Joey Bosa, Miles Jack, and Leonard Floyd out of Georgia, because the Jaguars' biggest need is defense, and if Joey Bosa's on the board, I believe they will take Bosa. They drafted defensive end last year in Fowler, but he's coming off that ACL tear. And to build their defense around Fowler and Bosa, I mean, that's going to be an unstoppable defensive line if it pans out for him in the future. Like I said, Bosa has character issues, just like Ezekiel Elliott. But I think Bosa would be the smart play for the Jaguars of all those three guys I mentioned.
You know, and coming out, one of the reporters for the Jaguars beat writers is saying it's almost a lock they're taking Miles Jack. So you never know. They could go after Bosa. I'm not a big fan of Bosa. I think he's a little bit overhyped. But Miles Jack also has medical issues with that knee. So, what I had Miles Jack going there. I don't know about anybody else.
I had Miles Jack as well. I mean, even if Bosa's on the board, I think they still take Jack. And if Bosa doesn't go at 4 to the Cowboys, I think he's going to drop pretty far in this draft.
I had Miles Jack, but they're going to take the best defensive player available, whether it's Bosa, Jack, or whatever. Yeah, defense.
All right, well, we'll just keep it rolling here. Let's go over to Baltimore and you're their GM again here.
Yeah, with the 6th pick, the Ravens, they're going to select Larry Tunsil. Joe Flacco's coming off an ACL tear, so they really need to make sure that he's protected. I know I can't think of his name right now, but their left tackle, he has 3 more years left on his contract, but he hasn't played 16 games in a season his whole career, or he's only done it once, and he's a 7-year vet. So just to try to get that security in Tunsil would be a nice pick for the Ravens.
Yeah, I can finally jump on your back on that one, Bryce. I think Tunsil, that's a perfect fit right there. Baltimore Ravens. Let go of Assembly. Granted, he's a guard. Didn't have to pay him that money. I think Tunsil's a guy they can invest money in.
Yeah, I had Ramsey and Tunsil switch, but yeah, Flacco needs offensive line help too. So
Wow, Josh, me and you both going at it. I had Ramsey slipping all the way to the Ravens, and that's a lock for them, best player. I honestly think that is going to be the case, so I'm going against you. I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. I mean, Tunsil, they do need lineman help, and they also need secondary help. I just don't see Tunsil. I think Tunsil goes to the Chargers, so we'll see. Ben, you don't talk much, so we'll move on to your pick at the 49ers, pick 7. Who do you got them taking? With Chip Kelly at the helm.
Well, my first move as 49ers GM would be fire Chip Kelly, but since I can't do that, I have the 49ers taking Jack Conklin, the offensive tackle from Michigan State.
Interesting. You're going offensive line help for them with Colin Kaepernick and
either
the other guy
if it's
over there?
their starting quarterback's either going to be Blaine Gabbert or Kaepernick. I don't really think they're going to trade Kaepernick. And if you look back when Kaepernick was at his top, when he was being considered one of the elite QBs, and they made it to the Super Bowl, the 49ers had a solid offensive line that protected Colin Kaepernick. So if Kaepernick is going to, if Kaepernick or Blaine Gabbert's going to be their quarterback, they're going to need an offensive line to protect them.
Yeah, I agree with that offensive tackle. I don't think it's going to be Jack Conklin, though. I think it's going to be Ronnie Stanley out of Notre Dame. So either way, I think it's going to be an offensive tackle there. I don't think they would reach for a quarterback at 7. Paxton Lynch is probably the next best quarterback, and he's not worthy of the 7th pick, so I think they'll go stay with the offense tackle.
Yeah, I'd agree with Nate. I think Stanley would be the second tackle taken off the board if they took offensive lineman here. But me and Jostun, I think me and him have the same draft board. I would take DeForest Buckner here. Defensive end for them, give them some defensive help. I think they definitely need some linebackers, and they could use some DNs, and I think this would be their guy.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner, they need all the defensive help they can get after Alden Smith left and everyone else retired. So
they drafted Eric Armstead last year or the year before, and that's kind of the same position. So that's why I'm a little hesitant on them not drafting Buckner.
Why not take another one? You need to anyway. Go ahead, Bryce.
What were we talking about again?
We're talking about the 49ers.
I'm looking at my draft. And 49ers, I mean, Chip Kelly, offensive mind. I'm surprised that they're not taking like a wide receiver here or something like a Percy Harvin type of player. I don't know. There's no Percy Harvin like type of talent in this draft, but if they did something crazy like pull like an Al Davis move, I could see that happening.
Well, I mean, I guess with Chip Kelly being there, he has his own mind, and there's been talk that he kind of alienated the scouts when he was in Philly. So I guess with Chip Kelly as a head coach you really don't know.
No, I think
Well,
there's
you got to look at this, and I don't know how much ties he still has back to Oregon, but this guy's an Oregon guy. I'm sure he knows a lot about him for Buckner. I think this is the obvious choice here. I don't know.
I don't think there's going to be any crazy moves with Chip Kelly because I think the 49ers are smart enough to realize that Kelly does not need all this power, and they should not give him all this power.
Well, let's keep this roll. We got to keep this moving a little bit. I'm up with the Browns pick. I don't want anyone looking at my picks here. And I got, both of these. Well, Joey Bosa's off the board. I had Joey Bosa going here at the Cleveland Browns. Did you have that too? You better not have. Okay, good. Well, Bosa's off the board, so I'm going with DeForest Buckner. I think they go DN here. They're going to boost up that defense. They have so many picks. There's rumors this could be a trade out for them. The Browns could trade out at this pick. I've heard that a couple times here in the last week. So look for that. But I'm going to go with DeForest Buckner for the Browns. I'm sure everyone else had something different.
I had DeForest Buckner. I agree with that.
I actually had the Browns taking Ezekiel Elliott. I think that obviously that's not a choice anymore, but I feel if RG3 is their starting quarterback and you throw Ezekiel Elliott in there, that'll be a nice 1-2 punch for the offense. But with them taking Buckner, I think that's a good pick there, that they need to rebuild that defense.
I honestly think if you would go that route, I think someone's trading up to get Elliott if he slips all the way to the Browns, but that's just me.
For me, I usually see the Browns trading this pick. Or if Ronnie Stanley's there, I think the Browns should draft him and put him on the right side. They got Joe Thomas on the left. They put Ronnie Stanley on the right. They have RG3 as their quarterback. He has injuries. I think it'd be smart for the Browns to draft an offensive line. If they want to try to resurrect RG3's career, they got to do it through the offensive line.
I have Ronnie Stanley, the second offensive tackle off the board. They need all the help they can get. Pretty much anyone they pick is going to fill a position of need for them. But Joe Thomas, he's getting old. One of these years, I think they have to trade him, get what they can for him, because he'll probably want to go play for a winner. You're rebuilding him as a go all out. But
from what they're saying about Stanley and you saying put him on the right, a lot of people say this guy should be on the left. So then you got to talk about the Browns could trade Joe Thomas in this draft, get something for him too. There's a lot of possibilities with this team, especially with the scouting team they have and the GM coming in. So we're gonna take a quick break here. We just went through the picks 1 through 8, and when we come back, we're going through 9 through 16. So stay tuned. This is a draft special, a final take. Welcome back to the draft special. We'll just go through the first 8 picks we did before this commercial break. We had the Rams taking Carson Wentz at quarterback, the Eagles taking Jared Goff. Easy decisions there. Then the Chargers taking Jalen Ramsey, the Dallas Cowboys taking Ezekiel Elliott, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Joey Bosa, Baltimore Ravens taking Laramie Tunsil, the San Francisco 49ers taking Jan Conklin, and the Cleveland Browns taking DeForest Buckner. So we're going to keep this rolling along here. We got Ben, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who are they taking at 9?
They're going to take Vernon Hargreaves III, the cornerback out of Florida. I think at this point, Jalen Ramsey's off the board. He's obviously the best corner secondary guy in the draft. So after that, you go after the second best, Vernon Hargreaves.
I think all of us here, I think majority of us would agree with that pick. And let's just keep it rolling. We'll go with the Giants. Bryce, you're up.
See, when I was looking at who the Giants would pick, I didn't expect Miles Jack to be remaining on the board at this pick. So that's kind of throwing a wrench into my draft strategy. But I do have the Giants taking a linebacker, and since Miles Jack is still on the board, I'm going with Miles Jack. It's going to be the obvious selection. I was considering Reggie Ragland and Leonard Floyd again from Georgia, but yeah, like I said, Miles Jack's still on the board. Obvious selection there for the Giants.
Anyone who's got it for the Giants? Anyone add anything
I had
else?
Hargraves, but he went 9, so.
I had Jack Conklin, but he was gone, so I think it's possible they might take Ronnie Stanley if he's still there.
Yeah, and I had Stanley there, obvious choice. Eli Manning with some line help.
I had the Giants taking Taylor Decker, the offensive tackle from Ohio State.
Interesting.
Another thing I've heard, he's gone already for us, but Ezekiel Elliott to them is another possibility.
Interesting with Miles Jack slipping. Man, some of you guys are crazy. Let's move on to the Chicago Bears. And Jostun, your rivalry here. What do you got the Bears taking? Don't be biased on this one either.
I had the Bears going defense with Leonard Floyd, the outside linebacker from Georgia. Their defense has been improving under John Fox after last year, so did I say Broncos?
Oh, you're right. You're right. Me and you had the same pick
Bears,
again here.
So yeah, Leonard Floyd going defense, but otherwise they could use offensive line too, Ronnie Stanley, but I got Leonard Floyd.
You know, it's going to be defense, I think, for sure. If one of those offensive tackles is there, they might grab one of those tackles, but I think they're going to surprise a little bit and draft Shaq Lawson out of Clemson.
Yeah, I just want to throw it out there. It looks like Stanley's still available, and I thought this guy would be picked in the top 10. So let's just keep that in mind. Let's go on to the New Orleans Saints. Nate, you're up.
At 12, I have the Saints drafting Noah Spence out of Eastern Kentucky. Bit of surprise there, but this guy was a guy that played Ohio State. You know, if you don't know a lot, it sounds like, oh, he's come from Eastern Kentucky. He's probably not that good playing at a small school. But this guy played at Ohio State, got suspended, released from the program, played at Eastern Kentucky, and this guy's going to be good. He's raw speed. He's got that power. He's going to be a great defensive end, and I think that's a great pick for the Saints at 12.
I'm shocked. You had both Clemson, Shaq Lawson, and Kevin Dodd out there, and you didn't take him. I would think that's a reach for the Saints if those guys are not off the board yet, but that's just me. Bryce, Ben?
I had the Saints actually taking Shaq Lawson, the defensive end from Clemson. I think him and trying to get the name right, Cameron Jordan, they would form a nice duo on the defensive line for the Saints, kind of build up that defense again.
See, I see the Saints needing offensive linemen, and I'm just basing this off of our mock draft going so far. If Ronnie Stanley's still on the board, I would scoop him up in a heartbeat if I was the Saints. The best way to protect Drew Brees is to draft a big offensive lineman like Ronnie Stanley.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah, I had a defensive player, Sheldon Rankins from Louisville. The Saints need all the defensive help they can get.
Yeah, that defense was horrendous. We were looking at the numbers the other day, and I can't believe Saints were second on offense in the NFL last year, which is crazy to me. I don't know where those stats came from. And on defense, they were 30th or 31st or even 32. They were awful on defense last year. They need all the defensive help they can get, and I think for sure they go defense. I know Stanley's still there, but they really need the defensive help.
Those offensive stats came from playing NFC South teams. That's why.
Oh, there you go. Let's go on to the Miami Dolphins. Jostun, you're up. There's a lot of chatter. This team could be moving up, so who knows who's at 13 on draft day.
I had Ezekiel Elliott, but he's gone. I mean, they got needs for corner and offensive guard as well. There's some other corners out there, but like Bryce said, Ronnie Stanley's still out there. Tannehill could use some help up front, so I'm going to go with Ronnie Stanley.
Interesting. The draft board has fallen to that, and we got to go with it. That's nothing we really can do, so Stanley's there. I had defense. I had Shaq Lawson going here. They lost a few guys along the defensive line this offseason. I don't know why they wouldn't take someone here, but like you said, Stanley's still there. We're flying through this already. Let's go to Oakland Raiders. I'm up, man. What did I even have here? I don't even remember. Oh, here we go. The first inside linebacker, Reggie Ragland, I think is a great choice for them. He's a run stuffer for the Raiders, and this team can be. This team might be legit finally. So everyone keeps saying that about them. This could be the final push maybe for them to get into the playoffs. I'm not saying Ragland is going to be the push, but this team, they're building, and they've been building for the last couple of years, and I'm thinking this year is going to be the year they put it together.
I don't think a linebacker is their biggest need, though. Honestly, I think they're going to draft Laquan Treadwell, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. That's another need they have. They're
two wide receivers back-to-back years in the first round. What are they trying, the Detroit Lions?
They're gonna take the best receiver that's on the board, and if they don't get Treadwell, I don't think it's worth them.
You think Treadwell's the best wide receiver in this draft? I've been hearing a lot about this Baylor guy.
Corey Coleman's very injury prone.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Nice pick, Reggie Ragland. There we go. I go on defense. They can score with
we might be building the same team here with all these same picks.
I actually had Miles Jack falling to the Raiders at 14, so I guess if somehow Miles Jack and Reggie Ragland are both there at 14, take your pick.
Yeah, I definitely think defense would be something for them, but who knows?
See, I agreed more with Nate on this pick. I think the Raiders go wide receiver, really build up that offense. I mean, they went offensive lineman in free agency. They got the guard from the Ravens. If they can create one of the best offenses, to ever play the game, if they take Laquan Treadwell or Josh Doxson, TCU.
I don't ever want you referring to the Raiders have the best offense in the league.
You talk about
in 2 or 3 years, if they take a wide receiver here, either Doxson or Treadwell, to have Derek Carr, Latavius Murray, Amari Cooper, and then one of those two guys, and the offensive line that they have right now, I could see it being Bronco-esque of 2 years ago.
Well, you said they drafted a receiver last year, obviously, and you're like, well, they won't draft one now. But
why
wouldn't they? It was such
Amari
a big hit
Cooper
for them last year.
was a solid number one wide receiver this year. Treadwell, you don't know what you're going to get at. This guy could be a number 2, and that's fine because they do have Cooper.
That's all they need.
I think
is a number 2.
defensive help is more important for them right now. I do.
Yeah, defense.
And who's their coach? He's a defensive-minded guy, and we'll see what happens. Let's move on to the Tennessee Titans, and Nate, you're up.
Yeah, this pick, we got a lot of guys falling here, so that's interesting. But I'm going to stick to my guns, go with the guy I picked originally. I picked Jerron Reed, defensive tackle out of Alabama. I think a defensive guy is their biggest need, and to get the best defensive tackle at 15 overall is not bad value for the Titans.
Interesting. Man, me and Nate are just opposites on every spectrum here. I think they go defense. All right, excuse me, not defense, offense. You went defense, offense. Mariota needs some guys to protect him. And, man, actually, I might not be able to. I can't pick him, never mind. But I had Conco going here. I think he needs a tackle. They have Byron Bell. He played for Carolina. That guy was awful. He was terrible, and he's still on their team as their right tackle or left tackle. They definitely need offense line help. They need to protect their franchise quarterback, and what better way not to?
Yeah, we're thinking the same. I had an offensive tackle for him, Taylor Decker, because all the other offensive linemen were off the board, but we're thinking offensive linemen. But yeah.
Ben?
I actually had the Titans taking Laquan Treadwell from Ole Miss. I think that in this draft, there's a lot of offensive linemen that can be good starters on day 2. So I think that you take Laquan Treadwell and Mariota has somebody to throw to, and you can easily get Mariota some protection on day 2.
And they have, like I said before, 11 picks in the first 3 rounds in the next 2 years, so they got plenty of options in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, I was thinking wide receiver for the Titans. Mariota needs someone to throw to besides, I can't think of his name.
Beckham?
Yeah, Dorial Green Beckham. I mean, that's pretty much their only wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's move on to the Detroit Lions. We just keep hating on Nate over here. Well, let's go to your team, Bryce. Who do you got them taking at pick number 16?
Let's see. So obviously, everyone's thinking, "Oh, Lions wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver." They just lost Calvin Johnson to retirement. But I was debating between either a linebacker or an offensive lineman, and I think I'm gonna go with Taylor Decker out of Ohio State for the Lions here because he's gonna take over for Riley Reiff in a couple of years. Decker, he's more of a project offensive lineman. He's not like put him out there right away. I could see him taking a year to develop. And Reiff, he wasn't the lineman that the Lions wanted him to become. So I see him going offensive line here, Taylor Decker.
You know, and me and Jostun keep going with the same position for every team here. I think they go D-tackle. They're still recovering from losing Ndamukong Suh and the other guy, Nick Fairley. They picked up Nada.
He's getting up there.
He's getting up there. I think they go A'Shawn Robinson out of Alabama, D-tackle for them.
I actually had him as one of my options, A'Shawn Robinson.
Give him a hog molly like Dave Gettleman says, and plug those holes, and I don't know. You might be right though. And I've seen a lot where they take wide receiver here as well. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you guys are getting too cute over here. I think the pressing needs obviously wide receiver, so why not draft a wide receiver? Treadwell's still there or Doxson.
I'm gonna cut you off right now, Nate, because as a Lions fan, I know this team like inside out. Wide receiver is not a pressing need. Golden Tate was the number 1 wide receiver on the Seahawks Super Bowl team.
Golden Tate is not a number 1 wide receiver.
Marvin Jones.
Golden Tate is not a number 1 wide receiver.
Marvin Jones is a
not a number 1 wide receiver.
He's not, I'm not saying he's number 1.
They have two decent.
Yeah, they have
Pettigrew.
They still have
They still have two
Pettigrew. They
decent
have
tight
Eric
ends.
Ebron coming up.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
I just don't think.
Are you saying that Jimmy
Jimmy
Graham
Graham
doesn't matter for the Seahawks as a good tight end?
Yeah, when did they throw them the ball this year? Let's be honest.
Got hurt.
Only Carolina. That was the only game, pretty much.
There's receivers,
Saying,
other receivers.
Wide receivers not a pressing need because where are they?
I don't think the wide receivers are that great. They have to take a lot of them in the first round.
They have two I'll call them 1Bs because they're not number 1s. They're like 1.5s because they're not 2s. They're better than 2s, but they're not 1s. They're 1.5s. They have two 1.5s. They don't need to draft another 1.5.
I don't think either of those guys are better than 2s. And also they'd get shut down by number 1 corners all day. So.
Yeah, but the problem is teams only have one number 1 corner.
I just think they need to build on their defensive side of the ball when they're going up against. I mean, they're going up against. Well, I don't know about Bridgewater, but they're going up against Aaron Rodgers and everything else. So, but I don't know. I think defense is a for sure. They can build that offense. I think Stafford can work with Marvin Jones and Tate and probably some guy in the 2nd or 3rd round.
See, I think a name that we have to mention here is Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
Jim Bob Cooter is their offensive coordinator, and that just had to be said.
You and I were actually on the same track of mind. I actually had the Lions taking Deshaun Robinson from Alabama for the same reason you said. They lost fairly,
and they never recovered from.
Haloti Nada is getting up there in age, and they need to rebuild that defense.
They honestly, these middle picks, like 10 through 20, it pretty much is. It might not be what we think. It's probably going to be a lot of guys that have fallen. I think that's how that's going to go. The middle picks are completely uncertain. It could go a lot of different ways.
And I forgot. Who'd you have? You had Taylor Decker. Okay.
And with Shaq Lawson still being on board, like you're saying, guys are slipping. I mean, that could be an interesting pick for Detroit, too, because to have him on the opposite of Ezekiel Ansah, I mean, I'm feeling bad for Aaron Rodgers already.
Alrighty, well, we got to keep this moving along. We'll get the trash talk, and we'll keep up after this commercial break. When we come back, we have picks 17 through, 24. So we'll be right back, and that has been basically the first half of the NFL draft. Stay tuned.
Interested in TV and like to talk about sports? Then Final Take is the thing for you. Final Take films every Tuesday at 4 p.m. in the CAC Room 121. Come and join the fun. At Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SBTV News crew. Being an on and off-air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.
Don't have a television? Don't worry. SPTV is available on demand at uwsp.edu/SPTV. Find your favorite shows on our website, plus links to all of our YouTube content. Stay up to date with SPTV News that includes information about campus and community happenings. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, we're SPTV-UWSP Television. SPTV. Let's make media together.
How can you get involved with student media at UWSP? Connecting with your campus television station, SPTV, is easy. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Vine, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Pinterest, follow us on Instagram, or connect with us on Google+. But of course, the best way for you to get involved and stay up to date with all that is happening at our station is to stop by our studio. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at UWSP, Studio B, Room 121. You can also drop by our office, Room 130, for more information on station happenings. We can't wait to get you involved. Come join us at SPTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back. Let's recap the first. What we had 9 through 16 this last break. We had the Bucks taking Vernon Hargraves, the Giants taking Miles Jack, the Bears taking Leonard Floyd, the Saints taking Noah Spence, the Dolphins taking Ronnie Stanley, him slipping all the way down to them. Reggie Ragland going to the Oakland Raiders. Tennessee Titans taking Jerron Reed, and the Detroit Lions taking Taylor Decker, the offensive tackle. We'll start with Nate for this part of this first round here, and we are starting with the pick 17, Arizona, the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, it's got to be defense. I think this is probably a consensus pick almost. I think they're going to take Darren Lee, the linebacker out of UCLA.
Yep.
I think this is the first pick me and Nate agreed on, besides the top two maybe. Anyone else? Any
objections?
No.
Well, Shaq Lawson's still on the board. I think the Falcons could go D-line there. I mean, if he's available, he's an option. It's the only thing I got to say about that.
That's something to look at too for them, because we do have him slipping a little bit. But let's move on here to the Indianapolis Colts. This might be I personally think this is the most boring pick in the draft in the first round. Go ahead, Jostun. Who are the Colts take?
Well, they could go defense. You said Shaq Lawson's there, but I saw their biggest need is O-line. They go center from Alabama, Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, and I went offensive line there too. I had them taking Taylor Decker. I thought he'd still be there, but Kelly's a guy that probably one of the best centers in this draft.
Top center, smart guy.
Went to Bama. That's the guy you want on your team. Any guy that goes to Bama, basically, typically. So, anyone else? Any objections to that?
See,
I think obvious is offensive line, or you think wide receiver?
No, I had offensive tackle, but I had Taylor Decker. I had him slipping.
I mean, if Lawson goes and Darren Lee's there, they could take him too. But with ours, I took Ryan Kelly.
I don't see Ryan Kelly
going that high.
I was listening to ESPN and looking at some articles, and they were projecting him as more of an early second round pick. So, and I actually had him going to the Seahawks at 26 because the Seahawks need linemen, and like I said, Ryan Kelly's not. I didn't think he's that good of a prospect.
To me, he just fit their.
Yeah,
fit
and
their
I think if they find a guy who's going to fit them, they're going to go with it. Let's move it on. Let's keep this rolling here. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills here at 19. I have them taking Robert Nimdiche. Oh my God.
Robert Nkemdiche.
Yes, whatever you just said. Yes. I picked him for the Buffalo Bills. He does have off the field issues, but this is the guy who I think Rex Ryan's going to take a little gamble on, and I think he'd be good for them. I think they go with him. Anyone? What do you guys think?
Makes sense. They cut Mario Williams. That's a position of need, but I think they could kind of shake up the draft a little bit and draft Paxton Lynch. Make sure the Jets don't get him is another reason to draft him. Yeah. And Tyrod Taylor's just a project. That's definitely not certainty.
I had Paxton Lynch next, but I had Shaq Lawson for the Bills. Otherwise, we haven't Shaq Lawson, but still got Sheldon Rankins. I think we still have out there. He's the one of the top defensive tackles. So
I actually had Buffalo taking Kevin Dodd out of Clemson, so I guess defense, they can have take their pick of who they want.
Yeah, and Shaq Lawson, he's not off the board, correct? Shaq Lawson. I didn't even know him.
He's not. No,
he's still on the board.
I would have probably taken him. I forgot all about him. I didn't even see that. But yeah, I think they take a gamble on this guy, and I think realistically during the draft, this might be their guy. I don't think Lawson's going to slip to them.
Just saying going with Robert, he used to be projected number 1 overall pick in this draft.
Yeah.
This is basically like Teddy Bridgewater all over again, except a bad pro day. It's just really bad character issues.
All right, let's move it on to the New York Jets. And again, I'm up. I think they take corner here. I think they go with Eli Apple for the Jets. They lose. Who did they lost someone. I can't remember. They lost in free agency, but I think they go corner here. Defensive-minded coach. I think this is their pick.
I had Paxton Lynch. I had no idea who the Jets would take because they need a quarterback, but got nothing wrong with the defensive player and a defensive system.
I had them with Leonard Floyd if he fell that far. Doesn't look like he will, but yeah, that's definitely a questionable pick for whoever they pick. It's going to be a little bit.
Yeah, it's up in the air. I think.
I think at that number you kind of go best player available and try to fill one of your team's needs.
See, I see the Jets making a trade with the Lions so they can get that Paxton Lynch pick. So.
All right, well, we're not about trades here. Let's just keep
Yeah,
this
I'm just
rolling.
saying-
We'll
just
be
saying
here all
it's
night
fine,
otherwise.
yeah.
Let's go to the Washington Redskins. Ben, you're up.
Oh, I originally had them taking Reggie Ragland, but you had him going to the Raiders. So I think at this pick they kind of go best player available like the Jets do, and they take a Sean Robinson out of Alabama.
And I forgot about it. Okay, see, some of these guys I just totally forget about. Anyone? I mean, I had Jerron Reed here, both D tackles. Clearly, he's not on the board anymore, but that's what I had there.
I had Carl Joseph, safety out of West Virginia there. Best safety in the draft probably. That's definitely a pressing need for them. Their corners are better now with Norman and D'Angelo Halls coming back and Rashad Breeland, so they're not too bad on the defensive
now
side
he
besides
starts
the
talking
back
about
end.
Josh Norman when he's not on the Panthers. That's funny. Anyone else?
I had defensive tackle, so.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and I've heard about the West Virginia guy. I just don't see. I don't know. I think he might go in the second round. Carolina might go at him at 32 as well. I don't know. Let's move on to the Texans at 22. Nate, you're up.
Well, I originally had Ryan Kelly, but Jostun snatched him up at 18, so I'm going to go with Carl Joseph, safety out of West Virginia. That's another need for the Texans, too, the back end of the secondary.
This was my run of wide receivers,
Yeah.
and this is where it started. I had Texans maybe getting one of the best wideouts in the draft, Corey Coleman. He's a burner, and I don't know.
I don't think that's a need for them. They have Hopkins and they drafted Jalen Strong last year, who's going to be a great receiver. So I don't think they need to take a receiver that just yet.
I had receiver for them. The deep threat with the strong arm for Brock Osweiler. The defense has less holes in the offense.
I would definitely question that.
I kind of went best player available, and I had on my draft board I still had Noah Spence available. I had the Texans taking Noah Spence. I think you don't have to worry about his off the field issues. I think they're behind him, but he has a great mentor in J.J. Watt on that line.
All right, Josh. I think we have the same picks for this one, but you're up. So knock them out. We got the Minnesota Vikings at 23.
This one could go either way, but I think right now where they're picking, they're going wide receiver. And I had Dotson ahead because I thought he was going to go to Houston, but Laquan Treadwell, wide receiver from Mississippi, he's a little bigger. But if they take Dotson, either one's going to work out. They're both 6'2", 200-plus guys that can go up and get the ball, potentially be number one receiver. So either one works there.
Yeah, I think wide receivers here, and I think Treadwell slips to them. They had Treadwell. I seen Treadwell slipping out of the first round, possibly even. I mean, this guy could go. You don't know. This run right here with wide receivers, 22 to 24, is going to be interesting. And most people have wideouts going right now. So I agree with it. Let's keep it rolling. I'm not letting anyone else talk. Or the Bengals.
Yeah, and
at
I got
24.
the Bengals too, and I kept the string of wide receivers. Now that I had Corey Coleman, but if Dotson's still there, I think the Bengals go Josh Dotson, the wide receiver from TCU.
Corey Coleman's still out there, Jocelyn.
I know, I had them both out there, but
Oh, okay.
I took Dotson over Coleman. But if they take Coleman, they're taking a receiver. Put it that way.
So there's the run on wideouts. Most of us expected. I had Will Fuller going there. I forgot totally about Dotson. I would have probably slotted him in there. I don't know. Would you guys, anything?
I had Dotson going to the Bengals.
Nate?
I had Will Fuller going to the Bengals because I think Corey Coleman will go to the Vikings.
Alrighty. Well, that's it for picks 17 through 24. When we come back, we will finish up the first round in the 2016 NFL mock draft here at Final Take.
Like to talk about sports? Join Final Take every Tuesday at 4 p.m. At Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.
All right, welcome back to Final Take. We just wrapped up picks 17 through 24. We'll just run through them quick. We had Darren Lee going to the Falcons, Ryan Kelly to the Colts, Robert, I can't say his last name. Thank you, Jocelyn, going to the Buffalo Bills, Eli Apple to the Jets, Washington Redskins taking Sean Robinson, Carl Joseph going to the Texans, the Vikings snatching Laquan Treadwell, and the Bengals taking Josh Dotson. So, Ben, we're up with you with the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 25.
I have them taking William Jackson III, the cornerback out of Houston.
And I agree with you there on the position. I believe I had Jackson gone already from what I'm seeing. No, I didn't. I had them taking Artie Burns. I believe he's out of Miami. And I think cornerback is a position in need for them, and I think one of those guys is it.
I agree with that position. I think Eli Apple is almost certain to go there.
All right. Well,
I had defensive back for them too.
would you have?
I had Carl Joseph, but
Okay.
safety.
Okay.
Defensive back, same thing.
Yeah, I agree with the pick.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's move on here. We have Bryce with Seattle Seahawks. There's a lot of guys slipping. I mean, Kevin Dodd's still out there. Shaq Lawson. I mean.
Yep. With the 26th pick, I originally had the Seahawks selecting, was it Jermaine Alfriedi out of Texas A&M? I don't know how to pronounce his name. But with Shaq Lawson on the board, they're obviously going to snatch up him. They're going to build on one of their strengths. I mean, that's what you see with really good NFL teams. They are able to build on their strengths. And with Cliff Averill and I can't think of the Seahawks' other defensive end. They're both over 30, and in order to get Shaq Lawson and bring him in, that's going to be really good for the Seahawks in the future.
Yeah, I think with the way our draft board's going, I'd take him here too. But if it was my mock here, I'd had them taking the Raven Clark, the tackle out of Texas Tech. I think they need to get some more help on that offensive line. They could go center in here too, even if Ryan Kelly was out there. Who knows where it's going to land? But that's where I had them going.
I had them defensive end. I had Robert Kimchichi actually falling to them here, but I think no doubt it's going to be a defensive player.
I actually had them taking Eli Apple, but at this point,
Interesting.
best player available on the defensive side of the ball.
Defensive line, front seven.
All right, well, the pick I think most folks at home are waiting for. We'll have Ben go, and then we'll have Nate.
Ben,
Packer
don't mess
fans.
this up.
I-
There's an obvious pick here.
Yes, there's a few guys that have slipped
This is
because of
obvious,
this
Ben.
draft.
Don't
board.
mess this up.
Green Bay Packers, who do they got? Who do they take?
Well, based on my mock draft, I had them taking Chris Jones, the defensive tackle
Same
from
position,
Mississippi State, defensive tackle, but they could also take Andrew Billings as well.
That's-
Maybe
yeah.
we're not on the same page,
I
but
got that too. But who's
Can
still
you
out
let
there?
him? Can you let him take his pick, please?
Yes, go ahead. Who do the Packers take?
no, I had them taking Chris Jones out of Mississippi State.
Oh,
So
well,
Chris
defensive
Jones.
tackle, but
So-
why not Sheldon Rankins? He's one of the top picks out there. He slipped all the way down. You're not going to take the best one available? Really? I'm not even a Packers fan. I'm trying to give you the best player out there.
Okay, well, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but Packer fans have their opinions, and they think it'll go one way, and then Ted Thompson surprises all of us. So I guess you don't really know with Ted Thompson as a GM.
Yeah, you have no idea who that pick's going to be. I think it's going to be a defensive tackle. Javon Hargrave, I've seen from South Carolina State's rising up draft boards, and the Packers like to do that. They like to draft kind of no-name guys in the first round. Last year, Demarius Randall, even Dayton Jones the year before, not supposed to be a first-round pick, so you never know with Ted Thompson.
Which was a horrible pick.
What about that tight end out of Arkansas? Isn't that a position of need for the Packers?
Absolutely not.
Let's talk about that for you guys. What do you guys think of all? I mean, it's slowed down, but starting off in these mock drafts months ago, I mean, it was Henry. Henry was the tight end pick, and
I don't think that's a need anymore based on the fact that they got Jared Cook. I think if they still want to look for a tight end in the later rounds, Hunter Henry's going to be gone at the early second round, so the Packers could look at Austin Hooper out of Stanford. I think he'd be a nice addition. I don't think they need a tight end, but if they want to go take one, I think it should be Austin Hooper.
If you can't get Henry in the mid-rounds, don't draft a tight end. It's not worth wasting another Richard Rodgers-esque pick on like that. And they got Jared Cook, who will be decent enough to fill the holes with the great receivers they have. It's not going to matter too much.
I mean, another need for them is obviously linebacker. I mean,
Yeah.
do you guys possibly see Darren Lee or Ragland slipping in them at all?
If they slip, yes, we'll draft them. I don't think they'll slip.
You don't? Okay, you don't.
Unfortunately.
Because there's been news that Ragland could be slipping
I'm
too.
surprised Rankin just slipped so far for us.
Yeah, well, that clearly is he's still up in the air. Maybe you can take him with the Chiefs here.
I could.
We have the Chiefs pick. You're up
I
Kansas
could,
City
but
with
they're not on
pick
my position of
28.
need. They got cornerback, wide receiver, offensive guard, and all our corners are gone. So Corey Coleman's still our wide receiver. Take Corey Coleman. Pair up with Jeremy Maclin.
Interesting. I like this guy's playing the draft board. That's what you like to see. Corey Coleman going there. I think this is where I had Ben's pick. William Jackson, the corner. Houston. I was actually watching some videos on him last night. He looks pretty good.
Yeah, I had Jackson at first too.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, would anyone else have anything?
I actually had something different. I had for the first time since 1994, there was going to be a Indiana Hoosier taken in the first round. Jason Spriggs going to the Chiefs.
Interesting. Ben
Doing his research.
Yeah, Ben going deep in this one.
I like that.
Well, let's keep it rolling, and we'll go to Nate. This is his second favorite team, even though you shouldn't have one. Nate, you got the Arizona Cardinals. Who are they taking?
Well, honestly, I think William Jackson III is going to fall to them. Unfortunately, he's gone. That would be a great pick for them right there. But if they can't get a cornerback, and if William Jackson's gone, there's no other need to draft a cornerback that high. No one else is worthy of that. So I think they'll draft an offensive tackle, and they'll go with Jason Spriggs.
Jason Spriggs.
Look at that, Ben. It worked out.
Well, and Jostun, you had corner here, so did I. I had them taking Mackenzie Alexander because I thought all three corners taken off the board. I think they go corner. I don't know. We'll see here.
Depends who's there.
Well, we got to keep this rolling. So, wow, Carolina gets a gift, I guess, and Kevin Dodd. Or not Kevin Dodd, right? Yeah, Kevin Dodd. He slips all the way down. I had them taking that Emmanuel Ogba. I like him. That's who I want them to take. I think I watched him versus Tunzel, and he put Tunzel to work, and he had a few sacks on the quarterback in that game. So I think he's a for sure guy there, but based on this draft, they're going to take Kevin Dodd if he slips. I think they go defensive end. I don't think they go corner. Everyone's going to expect them to go corner. I don't see it happening until the second or third round. They got Josh Norman in the fifth round. Richard Sherman came in the fifth round. I mean, these guys come. You can get someone fairly decent, I think, in one of these in this draft.
What about offensive line?
I don't see it happening. I think they're comfortable where they're at right now, and if they're going to pick up someone, they're going to pick them up later in the draft and develop
Because
them.
the offensive line got beat in the Super Bowl.
Yes, well, they also need that defense. They need a defensive end. Trust me, Charles Johnson will be gone after this year anyway. So
do you think there's a probability that Gettleman trades up to get?
They don't have enough picks to trade up right now.
Okay.
Don't have enough. So I think the possibility is them to slip into the second round, but Gettleman loves the fifth-year option. He just used it today on Starlo Tulile. He used it on Cam, and he used it on Luke Kuechly, I believe. So he loves that. That's huge for a first-round pick, and you're giving that up if you trade out of the first round. But we'll see there. I think you could see them trade out too if someone. I mean, Paxton Lynch is still out there, so who knows?
You think the Panthers would draft Paxton Lynch?
No, I said Paxton Lynch is still out there. Someone might trade up to get him in the first round because he's still on our draft board.
I was a little thrown off there.
But I guess we'll go with the last pick, and that's Ben to round it out of the first round. Patriots obviously don't have it, so with the 31st pick, who's
I
Denver
had something
taking?
different on my mock draft, but based on this, I think the Broncos are going to take Sheldon Rankins.
And
I had them.
You saved him from dropping out of the first round.
Yeah, I did. I had Sheldon Rankins going in earlier in my mock draft, and I had the Broncos taking Andrew Billings, but
I'm shaking my head over here. We just talked about the guy that's still there who hasn't been drafted yet, Paxton Lynch. That is a need for the Broncos.
But I got Connor Cook listed. They could easily, Hackenberg's a work in progress.
I also have.
But they could easily get one
going
of
to the
the
Texans. Let's be real here now.
Hey, Bill O'Brien.
My pick
Yes.
was Connor Cook. But if Paxton Lynch is going to fall, why not take Paxton Lynch? He's a better quarterback than Connor
Bryce,
Cook.
you've been pretty quiet over here.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are going to trade up for Paxton Lynch. It's either someone's trading with Detroit for Paxton Lynch. I can see it already. Whether it's the Jets, the Bills, or the Broncos, Detroit's trading.
I finally agree with Nate on this one. I'll back him up. Paxton Lynch fits the mold of Brock Osweiler. They liked him. They want a guy like that. He is their guy. That's why I had them taken. I had him slipping to them. He might go earlier than that, but I think Lynch is going to be their guy for the last pick in the first round.
I think it's going to be a quarterback, whether it's Cook or Lynch. One of those two.
Could be.
Well, guys, this was fun. Hopefully some of us are correct here. Who knows? We'll see you in the first round. The NFL draft starts Thursday, 8 p.m. But that's all we have time for here at Final Take. We thank everyone for tuning in with us. I'd like to thank all the guys here, Bryce, Ben, Nate, Jostun. Thank you guys for coming on here for our second year of our mock draft special. A big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointers athletic information. And just remember Stevens Point here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.
Reporting for SPTV, I'm Rachel Ellis.
I'm Noble Rudd.
Ben Zitouni.
Melissa Mitrovic.
Nathan Hansen.
Sarah Burkhardt. JJ Luther. Nicole Pfeiffer.
I'm Chris Watkins.
Curtis pump fakes, still holding the ball, dribbles, drives to the lane, looking for that down low post action. He's still dribbling, and the ball fake, and it's somehow up and in. 1-0 Curtis. And Curtis drives again, right by the defense. No defense there. Lays it in nice and easy. The bank not open, gets his own rebound, and puts it in. His head's still down on the shot, and somehow goes in. And another one down low for Curtis. He's just eating him up down low. He's really living up to his nickname, Scrappy.
All right, Nate's just dribble around, just step back jumper there, and it's good. Nate is finally on the board.
And Curtis still is no look dribbling, and he somehow puts it in. I'm not sure how he made that one. And Curtis will take that one from top of the key. Hits the three, his foot close to line, but no review.
Nate taking it to the hoop. Curtis, no defense there, and easy points for Nate. Another one, step back three, and slashes nets there. Nate again, he's on attack. There's 3 consecutive in-a-row points, and look at that.
And Curtis will look to shoot 3. It's good. He'll take another short jumper, not even close. Shot was so off, he got his own rebound.
Now Nate dribbling in, trying to come back in this game, put some points up there. Nate looking to go on the attack again. Curtis with the defense, hand in his face, and he gets a bank.
We got a close one. Looks like fatigue set in on both players here. Curtis looks to dribble, shoots a wild 3, and it's in.
The game, sunshine.
Finish him.
I wasn't sure what to expect. Never played Curtis before, but I know he's always got that scrappy attitude, and I should have been looking for rebounds off of his offensive misses. I knew there was going to be a lot of those, but I was surprised at how many rebounds he actually got off of that. Later on in the game, I finally penetrated, got to the hole a little bit, had a few layups, had a few that went out. My dribbling was there, my shot was not there early on at all. I was surprised that we started using a girls ball. That really threw me off to start the game. Obviously not used to using a girls ball. I think Curtis probably was, but I wasn't used to that, and we finally changed, and then oddly enough, once we finally got rid of the girls ball, I finally started playing better, so I don't know, you guys can piece that together. I wouldn't say excuses, I would say they're reasons. I do, but I think I have to get in the gym a little bit more. Maybe start using a girls ball to practice with too, even if that's the road he wants to take. But I think there'll be a rematch at some point. Well, I mean, if you want to look at the stats, his shooting percentage is probably down near the floor at 0, but his offensive rebounds were up there, and that really got to me late in the game. Size wasn't really a factor. I mean, we're both pretty much the same size, so there wasn't any advantage in the post either way. His defense, I think he came in a little overrated with that, but it was all right. Can't take away from that, but his rebounding was super effective, and that got the job done. No, that's a funny question because high school for me was 2 years ago, so I mean, that's been 2 years removed, so it's not like I've been playing all the time. And I didn't even play much my senior year, so pretty much 3 years, and I didn't play basketball my junior year, so pretty much 4 years if you want to go that way. Anytime, any place. Bring that boys ball, and we'll throw down.
Nate was talking a lot of smack. He said he played basketball in high school, so I was expecting a little bit more out of him, but I guess the true colors showed of his basketball skills, and the true winner won the game in this one. I think Nate not attacking early, his soft defense early on, I thought that helped play into me putting up some points. The 3-ball later in the game definitely helped me out to seal a victory, but I thought I had a good day. Dribbling never works for me. I would say
Nate's form surprised me. He's got a good shot. It just wasn't falling from that thing. Oh, absolutely. I'm always down for a rematch. Bring it on.